Why this picture? Well, Marco's photographer, so we want to give him due credit for the outstanding work he does in the New York City cycling community as photographer, but also all around the country, and I think in other countries too. So enjoy those pictures without any further sound, and then we'll launch right into the conversation. If you want to support Marco, if you like his work, if you like what he has to say, follow him on Facebook, Marco Quezada, or look at his website, www.marcoquesada.com. Enjoy.
All right. Welcome to the second episode of New York City Bike Culture. I'm really excited to have Marco Quezada with me here today. Following up on Lucia Deng, CSCA president last week, I thought I'd start. I'm going with somebody who thinks of that maybe doesn't have a high-profile position in the New York cycling community, but I think it's really part of the heart and soul of what makes up this community. He's a born New Yorker, and he'll tell us a little bit about how he got. We'll talk a little bit about how he got into bike riding and what that meant to him and how he got to where he is today. You're a photographer by profession today?
I am.
He's actually off to another job after this, or at least a potential job.
Potential.
Potential.
Come on, hire me. Come on.
It's always yeah. It's a New York hustle. We'll talk about bikes and bike riding and bike racing a little bit too, since that is a passion of yours.
I do know a little bit about bike racing.
Tell us a little bit about growing up. We had a little bit of a false start here, but tell me a little bit again about growing up in New York. You grew up in the Bronx. Set the scene for us. This was the 80s. You don't want to date yourself too much, but we know that.
I grew up in the Bronx. I was born in Lincoln Hospital to a single mom. Not to a single mom, but she's not the Virgin Mary. My father left when we were kids. She didn't have me on her own. She's not the Virgin Mary. I grew up in the Bronx during the 80s, during the crack epidemic. Man, that was fun.
Today we have movies and documentaries about that.
It wasn't fun.
Laugh about it, right? But yeah, the reality on the ground was a very different one, right?
Oh yeah, especially in the South Bronx.
Yeah. Where you were,
I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, but more than a couple of years, about 10, 15 years ago, there was a gentleman that got killed by the cops in the back on her doorway, in his doorway. Amadou Diallo.
Yeah, the name.
It happened in 3 buildings. That's where I grew up. That's how bad things were. A few buildings from where I grew up.
To some extent. Or
I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah.
My mom moved out of that neighborhood about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's where I grew up in the 80s.
So that was tough times. But you made it. You were saying earlier that statistically speaking, you should have been dead.
Well, statistically, I should have been dead by now. So all of this is just gravy.
It's great to have you here.
It was rough. I got stabbed once. Somebody tried to steal my bike, my BMX bike.
Oh, it was over a bike.
Oh yeah, it was they wanted my bike, and it was a family member, a cousin.
Wow.
A cousin that I let him get close to me and he wanted to riding my bike. Hey, this is fun, it's fun, and then he tried to take off. I stopped him and took the thing up. I'm a New Yorker. So.
You've seen some stuff.
Yeah.
So how did you get into bike riding? You mentioned at some point then you had a BMX bike, and that was your first bike?
That was my first bike. I used to go. I've seen some people go over the bridge, or George Washington Bridge, to a track we had back then, Braddock, and that's where I first.
So that was on the other side of the Hudson, on the other side of the bridge.
On the other side of the bridge, right. And that's where I first met Dave Jordan.
Okay.
Dave Jordan was back then an up-and-coming star. He was fast.
A bike racer.
In
the BMX scene?
In BMX scene.
BMX scene.
Man, that guy was fast.
I know the name now because there's a team named after him in CRCA, and there's we have an event after him.
You never met him?
No, I never did. I only moved to New York City 4 4 years now. It's been
Oh, 4 years.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So tell me more. So he was a BMX racer.
Right, he was a BMXer.
And BMX was a big sport that
back
was
then,
kinda,
yeah.
back then.
Back then, yeah. We had road racing, but it wasn't big because we didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
But
So,
what else? Yeah, I saw him and I started racing BMX across the river, and then it was fast.
Yeah.
And I was lazy. I was a teenage lazy guy, and I just wanted to smoke pot. Not crack. Don't do crack. Don't do any drugs. In fact, a little bit of pot is okay.
I think that's legal today. I think we can say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So I just started chilling with the pot and moved on to freestyle, which is just you didn't go anywhere.
Tricks and jumps,
tricks,
right?
yeah.
Not
Tricks
rather
and
than
jumps
like racing,
and just chill and smoke.
Right. Yeah. It's
That's what we
similar
did.
to kind of skateboard culture a little bit today. Or
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
You kind of do tricks. You meet with your friends in the park and see what you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, and then moved on to mountain biking. I did mountain biking in the 90s.
Which was then the new sport that came out, kind of,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Where you guys rode without, like, on kind of crazy bikes by today's standards.
Yeah.
With no shocks and no.
I started with no
the
shocks, but then we
luxuries
moved on
today.
to suspension. Clipless pedals were like, oh my god, that was a big thing.
So now we're already talking some of the technology, and growing up in the Bronx, single mom, times were tough. Cycling, bike riding, I mean, like other things like running or hobbies, like where maybe you need some shoes, but you can run pretty much we could run right now if we wanted to, right? But bike riding, you need a bike, and that usually sets you back depending on how much you want to spend all that, but at least a couple $100 or something like that. And even then I would imagine that wasn't cheap getting a BMX bike.
Man, my first bike was $300
back then. Yeah.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And $300 now you can buy just one wheel cost me for
yeah one good wheel easily you get there. Yeah. So
that handlebar set it's $450.
Yeah.
That's set, a handlebar and stem.
You can spend a lot of money. It's great toys.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But back then, you saw someone like Dave Jordan, kind of inspiring figure, and said, "I want to do that, and I'm going to save up for a bike, whatever it takes. That's what I want to do. That's my first big gift to myself, or whatever." And you made it happen.
I did. I started racing as a junior in the CRCA. Back then we had.
So then you transitioned to road racing, which
road
is
racing. Well,
BMX,
mountain biking,
and you did that at the same time, kind of.
A little bit later, and then back then we had paper. This thing called paper that we had a CRCA card. And you had to laminate it because if you lost that, it was like $25.
Yeah.
And then you had to wait in the mail. You had to wait for it, and it was like you couldn't race. So it was like
you couldn't race until you had the card.
Yeah. You had to laminate it, protect it, because then if it wet, you need to race with a.
That was still an issue with USA Cycling. When I say 4. When I first started 5 or 6 years ago, is if you didn't have your paper copy ready and there wasn't a way to show it online, or that wasn't like
right.
Mm-hmm.
No, back then, yeah.
So, but mountain bike, road bike, it sounds like you really got into it and really were willing to invest like time and save up for these, because you need different bikes, right?
Right.
Each of these like sports and events, like they're different disciplines in cycling. You need different bikes. So you really caught the bug, kind of. You really got into it.
I did. It's not a fad for me.
Yeah.
It's just a way of life. I've been riding since I was a kid. So.
Were you the weird one in the family then?
I
in the
am.
Bronx?
I am.
Because
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you really only started riding BMX because I would imagine back then, even today, bicycles aren't a common means of transportation for kids in the city, right? Did other people say like, what's he doing riding bikes, or?
Right. No, my family was like, well, why don't you get a car? I did have a car for a long time, and I got rid of it just recently, about 4 years ago. I don't need it anymore. But I was the weird one in the family. It was like, why is he still riding his bike? You know, I was like, why don't you grow up?
Oh, it's a grown up thing.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. It's just, for me, it's a way of life. My mom passed away a few years ago, and I went to clear up my some of my stuff that I had in a basement and attic, and I saw my bike, my old bike, my first my second month bike was a Cannondale F series with a head shock, and my sister told me that Mandy, my niece, is using it, and I go, oh, that's my bike. She's like, yeah, she's using it to go to school and to commute, and I go, oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I don't want it. Like, let her use it. Somebody else in the family can get into cycling.
That's awesome.
No, it's good. It's good to see that.
So there's a new generation of Quezada.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that sounds like it wasn't easy, kind of. You live in Brooklyn now, I think. Sorry.
Greenwich Village.
Greenwich Village. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So pretty close to here, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's convenient. But you came from the Bronx. You don't have to tell us all your details of life, but kind of, yeah, go ahead. You had something in mind there.
Okay, here we go. Meet Marco Quezada. I am the product of the public school system.
I'm digging it because I know he has a story coming, so go ahead.
No, there's no story. It's just me.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So, CS 77, PS 77. Stevenson High School, Lehman College, and a small fine art degrees in art from SVA.
Which stands for?
That's me. A School of Visual Arts.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not an artist, so I wouldn't know. Okay.
I'm not an artist.
So
I'm not.
You're a photographer?
No, I am, but I don't.
That doesn't count as an artist.
He does. People, yeah, but I don't consider myself an artist.
You don't like the label?
I don't like the labels.
Yeah. Okay.
No, and people are. They're incredibly talented.
Yeah.
They
I
are.
understand, but for you don't think it's fitting, kind of.
Not for me. I mean, I don't. People have said I am an artist. There is a big image hanging up in NBC Studios. One of my images.
That fills you with pride, I would imagine.
Yeah. No, that was fun. Yeah.
So you studied photography?
I did, yeah.
At Lehman also, or?
No, SVA.
Okay, at SVA, yeah. And now you become a photographer.
I do have a degree. Yeah.
Does that help you?
No.
Getting off the track from bike riding, but does that help you? I was going to say, do you need that?
Yeah. No, not at all. No.
But you can say.
I have a degree. I spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
I still owe a little bit, but no. Getting a degree was like, But go to school, kids.
It's a reality.
Stay in school.
But it's hard, yeah. And that's actually how I first got to kind of, or notice you. You were taking pictures of all kinds of bike events, really, and you always seem to be doing this more as a hobby almost, and kind of as a providing other people with pictures at bike events. And I think you're still doing that as your schedule allows, or because obviously you need to make money, and you asked me, for example, to reschedule a little bit today because you have another potential gig coming up, and obviously that's priority. And as a freelancer, I think you just need to be flexible, probably. But it sounds like we haven't talked about that yet. But you raced for a while, and you've stopped racing recently, or at least for the time being. But you still ride your bike around. You're on the bike here today. How does that? What are you today? You're a photographer. You ride the bike around for commuting, basically.
Yeah. I hate it. I hate the subway. I hate the MTA. It's like $3 or something like that for the subway.
I think we're still at $2.75.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not gonna curse. I'm not gonna curse a lot. I'm not.
If we have to, we'll edit it out. But I'll figure out what the regulations are.
Money. That's for one fare.
Yeah.
No, I have a commuter bike and I have two racing bikes. I don't take the subway.
So 3 bikes. That's a good amount. One of them lives outside. You said earlier.
One of them, it's my commuter bike lives outside, locked up. Never comes up to the house.
Can you get around with all your photography gear on the bike?
Yeah. My the commuter bike has a rack and 2 panniers.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
baskets,
it's like almost a cargo bike, kind of.
Yeah.
And you make it work.
My studio is very portable. I mean, when I started working as a photographer, the lights were incredibly heavy.
Yeah.
Now I have Harley 600.
Gotten smaller.
And it's portable. My studio is literally anywhere in the world.
So that has made your life easier and has made it easier riding bikes around with all your stuff too.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Okay. So you pretty much use the bike now as an everyday commuting means. You're on your bike most of the time, most days.
Yeah. Or walk. Yeah. Walk 20, 30 blocks is still walkable.
30 blocks still walk. Spoken like a true New Yorker, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I walk anywhere.
Yeah. Is that, I guess professionally speaking, if you show up as a photographer on the bicycle, does that make you more credible, or does that make you more like, ooh,
I don't know.
Who's this guy who's just kind of jumping off the bicycle? Is that a tricky connection to make? Does that make you look more legitimate, or is that more you avoid that impression?
I don't. I've never thought about that, but.
So you're not hiding the bike when you arrive at a gig?
Well, when I show up, I lock it up outside.
Right.
I don't show up. I need to put my bike somewhere else. Can you provide me with a space or something? No.
Right.
But if I need to go to like a corporate gig, I'm not gonna dress like this.
Right. A little bit more.
I either get a cab or an Uber.
Okay, so the bike, it does change a little bit.
It does, yeah. You have to,
Yeah, you have to adjust a little bit. Yeah. The bicycle photography, you kind of do that on the side? You do it regularly?
I do. Well, see, I started. I was racing and I was trying to be a pro, so I was an amateur. Got one.
Yeah.
And I traveled around.
So to translate that for everybody who's not that familiar, you were good. You were pretty fast. Even though you said in the beginning you weren't fast, you were pretty fast.
I was okay. But I sucked. So I traveled.
We'll have to find other guests who can.
I traveled the country, and I have a lot of contacts.
Yeah.
In the cycling industry.
You traveled for
racing.
For racing.
For racing.
Yeah.
And so
again, he was probably pretty serious and good, and he's again being very humble. But yeah.
And so I created, and I got a lot of contacts in the cycling industry.
Yeah.
And as you know, the people that race now would probably in 20 years, in 15 years, are going to be in charge of teams. They have a little cycle in the bike industry, management, and you move up, and now you direct, you're a DS.
Mm-hmm. On the road racing side, right?
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of contacts.
Yeah.
And then I do also training camps.
Right.
For teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I go out west.
So you go, the team says, can you take pictures of our training camp? And you travel out there.
Yeah, do some training camp, do the headshots, because our training camp is where everybody's going to be at the same time at one point.
Right.
So we do
meet the new team members.
Headshots. Yep. All the team headshots.
Some extra shots, all that.
Yeah.
Is that still exciting?
Oh yeah. But not this year. Not this year.
Yeah.
There's COVID and everything else. I actually don't get to travel much for work.
No. Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much been on hold. So your bike racing kind of got you into at least one part of your job. You're obviously doing, you said you're doing corporate kind of photography, you're doing all kinds of other types of gigs kind of too, or whatever you call it. I'm calling it gigs because I don't know, maybe I don't have the right industry term for it, work.
It's called jobs.
A job, okay, jobs. So the different jobs.
Actually, they are jobs.
Yeah, no, it's your job, they are jobs. You get paid for them, right. But doing that, whether locally or across the country, like bike photography, for a lot of sounds like the road racing teams, that's still part of your job. And in some ways, bike racing has helped you build up a network that helps you professionally too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you feel like bike riding and the sport has given you some then, or do you feel like you've invested more than it's given you?
No, it's given me something. It's given me definitely a lot. And it kept me alive. Really, literally. I mean, it got me out of the street, cycling.
You think that hobby, the BMX riding, the mountain bike, and the road racing, the time you spent doing that kept you from doing other things that...
Absolutely. Oh, no, absolutely. Some of the people that I grew up with, I know this is a cliche, and people say it all the time, are dead or in jail. The people that I grew up in my block are dead.
Yeah, for me, like I grew up in Germany in a very quiet town of like 80,000, and like anybody dying would have been in the newspaper for weeks, and I think here you tell these stories and it's several people and, people you knew and people that were close or grew up in your neighborhood, and it's such a...
So you grew up in Germany.
Yeah.
So did you ever hear, like, why did you move to New York? How?
My wife got a job here.
Oh, perfect. Oh, nice.
So that's why I'm here. We didn't pick out New York City, but I came to the U.S. for studies.
About stories about New York City?
Of course.
And you're like, oh my God, I want to move there, or no, I never want to go there.
I think you got a bit of both, right? If you have to be a city person, right? I think there's people all around the world who obviously see New York City for Manhattan here,
right?
And, all the lovely sides of it, right? But I've talked to many people who didn't realize until they were in New York City that there's other sides and other parts of it too, right? And that are much more tricky to deal with. They're a much harsher reality, I think, than is often portrayed on the postcards and like when you go to the Empire State Building or the Statue of Liberty, all these things that a lot of New Yorkers have never done, right? And I think you see it with different eyes once you've lived here. And I think also that only now more and more are there movies coming out or documentaries coming out that kind of talk a little bit more about what happened in the Bronx, what happened in Queens and Brooklyn, and even also Manhattan in the 80s and the 70s. And there were some movies before. I mean, I remember growing up and kind of watching the movie Kids. Have you watched that one? That was kind of about teenagers growing up in New York. You kind of got a sense of like, it's not all, shiny and, simple and glorious and
See, I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And I watch a little bit on Netflix, but I don't know if you know, I like cycling. I watch a lot of cycling.
It's your life. It's your hobby. It's not your profession. No. It's part of your profession.
It's part of my profession. Oh, I do work. I do get a lot of work out of cycling.
Yeah.
Some contacts and other stuff that has nothing to do with cycling, but they see me at bike racing and they hire me.
Yeah. So that still works, that connection for you. Yeah. And I would imagine when you go out there, you meet again new people.
Yeah, yeah.
Is being located in New York City then maybe not dangerous? Sorry, that was the wrong word. Difficult? Is it almost harder because maybe it's a good place that other people want to go to and you can travel out easily, but all these professional cycling teams are not in the city. Right? I always kind of joke about we have a great vibrant community in New York City, but we're kind of lacking. I don't know if we're lacking that, but what we don't have is a lot of professionals because it's really hard to ride and train here as a professional, right? And maybe we could talk about it another time, but is it for them? Why wouldn't they just hire somebody, say, in wherever they are, Colorado, Arizona, or California? I mean, imagine a lot of the gigs.
It's a two-part answer.
Yeah.
There is a lot of cycling history in New York City.
Yeah.
We have developed a ton of professional cyclists and some world-class, world champions. You do have to move out of New York City to compete because we don't have the competition. Just going to throw out a few names.
Do it.
Mike McCarthy.
People can look them up later. We don't have to explain
Mike
for everybody.
McCarthy, George Hancappy, Evelyn Stevens.
Yeah.
Now, Mike McCarthy was a world champion in the pursuit. So we do have a lot of history. There's a lot of cycling history in New York City.
Right.
Oh shoot, what was the second one?
I think, is that tricky then to get jobs? You're sitting out here in New York City and they're all over the country in Europe?
It's not that hard. I mean, once you get the connection, they know you, they know your work. I work for a few cycling magazines, web magazines.
Yeah.
Cycling News, Velo News.
I was gonna say, can you drop a name maybe because people recognize these? Yeah. So
as
a freelancer,
I tell them where I'm gonna be, and then they say, oh, we have this guy here. He's gonna be here, so they hire me, and you'll see. I always like to put my local peeps in cycling news and Velo News.
Right.
And stuff.
Yeah. Is this for like demonstrating clothing or like
bike racing?
Oh, for bike racing. Okay.
Doing bike racing.
They're like, I want a picture of a bike race or of a local bike race.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. And then for the teams, can you drop a name there? What's a job that you've done?
Team Type 1. Team Type 1. Vesel.
Yeah.
what is that? Illuminate.
Yeah.
Cola Vida.
Yeah. So you've been around. Yeah.
No, that's what I. That's what I do.
Yeah, it's what you do for a living, right? Yeah. That's exciting.
And actually, in cycling, it's. I love that stupid sport. I do. I fucking love it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try not to curse a lot. Cycling I love that that's a sport, but it doesn't pay that much. So I do other stuff. So I do weddings.
We always talk about that.
Corporate.
Yeah.
And fashion, a little bit of fashion.
Yeah. I mean, I think you would have to be at the very top of the game to be only a cycling photographer, right?
Right.
So there's very few who can do
There's
that.
only a handful. In fact, there's like 5 or 6.
Yeah, in the U.S.
In the U.S.
Yeah. That's a tight
that
circle.
only do cycling photography.
Right. And so it's good to have a diverse portfolio out there. So and be able to do a lot of different things. You know what? Let's take a break here. We can do some more eating, and then we'll move on to the second part.
Okay.
Okay, we've eaten well. Second part. Let's talk a little bit about present, future.
The pierogies were good. They were fucking. They were good. They were just good.
Just good, or very
Delicious.
good, or something.
Sorry, I'm not gonna curse.
Let's talk. I've seen a lot, or I've seen quite a bit from you on social media during this COVID crisis. You're using bicycle, delivering food and probably other things to people in need. This can be a call to action, or you can just tell us about kind of what you're doing there and how you got into that and what you're doing.
Well, I mean, we've heard that phrase. If you see something, say something. I don't want to say something. I see something, I do something about it. I went out during the COVID, during the lockdown, and I went to Trader Joe's to pick up my groceries. And you see homeless people every single day. And then depend on people that walk by to eat and to get some food. But there was nobody walking around.
Right.
So. The person said, like, hey, you got any food? Like,
and this is in Greenwich Village, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I had stuff that was already in containers, in boxes. I couldn't give them that.
Yeah.
So I went home and started making sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah.
And I started going around and delivering food to homeless people.
Yeah.
And then some people would ask for 2 because they were hungry.
Yeah.
How can you not give them 2? How can you not do something?
Yeah.
And I just did something because when I was growing up with 7 brothers and sisters.
Oh, you didn't get to that part. You had 7 brothers and sisters.
7 brothers.
This was all with.
Yeah, I'm poor. I'm a poor person. I don't have much, but I have a little bit. And I'll share it with somebody else because when I was growing up, people helped us out. Mm-hmm. People helped us out, and if you see something, do something.
Yeah, and you're doing something.
I did something. I put a little post out and on social media. I don't care if you hit the like button or not. It's still up there. I deliver groceries to some people, and somebody from Facebook, and I'm not going to say who, and it would be all confidential.
Yeah.
I still deliver food every week or 2 weeks.
So you have had people connect with you that are in need.
And if you do know someone, I'll be happy to deliver food and sandwiches.
Yeah.
And I still do it. I did it yesterday.
Yeah.
I go out and deliver food. When I was growing up, my mom relied a lot on food banks.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a need that's really risen again.
We needed that to keep us literally alive.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to admit it.
I don't think you
here.
have to be. Yeah.
I'm here. So if you can, donate to your local food bank.
Yeah.
Or soup kitchen.
Yeah.
Because now more than ever, it is vital. Those places are literally the lifeline to some families.
Yeah.
Some regular families, some regular middle class families that 6 months ago were doing okay.
Yeah.
But now, like, literally, this, you would not believe the people who are at the food banks.
Yeah.
When I go and drop off some stuff, it is amazing, and it's just sad that we got to this point. I don't work with anybody.
Yeah.
I just do it on my own. I make sandwiches at home, and I deliver 10, 15 twice a week.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
For the people that are out on the streets.
Do you feel like you see them more maybe than other people? Because like, and a lot of people maybe don't live in Manhattan, where for all I know the homeless population is the largest and is the most present too, and maybe it's that you live in Manhattan, but also that you're out and about a lot in Manhattan, versus a lot of people who video conference, or they're on the Zoom calls and whatnot calls, and they don't leave the house often because they're worried about the virus, and they don't leave the house. And
I am very careful. I am very careful. I guess I do see more people out because I'm out more.
Yeah.
But I am always very careful. I always wear a mask and gloves. I never make contact with anybody. I always stay away. I always ask whether or not they want a sandwich or not. Sometimes they say no. That's okay. And if they say yes, I leave it like a foot away from them. I never make contact with them. I don't want to infect them. Or I don't want to infect
No, I mean, it's
myself.
actually more. I mean, that's awesome, and I think that the safety aspect for you and them is super important too. But the question was less coming from a safety concern. It's more of a your profession and the fact that you're riding out on the bike allows you to see that there is a need in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't if you weren't out there. I think leaving your apartment, and you deliver on the bike.
I do. Yeah. I go around. I cover more. My bike was out of commission for 2 weeks. No, about a week and a half. I needed to get a piece for my battery. I have 2 bikes at home, but I live in such a small place that one of the bikes, if it's running, the other one has to be in the closet.
Yeah. I think a lot of New Yorkers are familiar with that storage issue.
I took the fancy one, the one with the DI2 out.
Yeah. Electronic shifting for those that are familiar.
I needed to get a cable, and it took about a week to get here. So it was out of commission for a few days, and so I was walking, and it was okay. And then I couldn't cover as much ground.
Right.
So being on the bike helps a lot.
Has bike riding gotten safer? So first of all, before I say that, that's awesome, and thank you. And I think
if you see something,
you're not
do
associated
something.
with a food bank. Do you just generally like people can contact you if they know someone who's in need?
Yeah,
I mean, you have a limited capacity, but you'd at least be able to say yes or no, and maybe forward them or
I never say no.
Give them somewhere else.
I would never say no. I do not do someone that needs help. I would never.
And you work on your own, not associated with a food bank or something like that?
Yeah, I work on my own.
Okay.
And I donate to my local
food bank,
which is the Manor Community Center on West 26th Street.
West 26th
between
Street.
8th and 9th.
Okay, yeah.
That's who I donate to. But you should donate to whoever is closest to you, because that food, it goes directly to families.
Right.
Donate to City Harvest. That's a great place.
Right.
They do a lot. But the food banks, the soup kitchen, feed the people directly. The money doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
It goes directly to that. That's all I.
Totally.
So I can do.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Can you leave it to? Thank you. That's good. Thank you. That's amazing. I gotta say, and I think again that you are part of the heart and soul of the community because you do these things, and maybe you don't do them because you're a cyclist, right? I think you do them because you're a good person.
Don't pay me as a don't pay me as a saint. I'm not a saint.
We're all complicated. Right?
I'm not a saint. I've done some crazy shit in my life. Not illegal, but no, I'm not a saint. I'm not a saint. Don't paint me out to be. Don't put me on a pedestal. I'm not.
No,
So,
nobody is though, right? And I think we build
Yeah.
people up to be heroes, and I don't think you have to be a hero, and then you have to be a
I'm
saint.
not, yeah.
But I think what you're doing is really important and makes this community of New York City or New York cycling community a better place, right? And on that note, how do you feel like the community has changed over the time that you've seen it? There's always the danger of sounding kind of grouchy and nostalgic about the good old days and all that. But I think coming from the Bronx and having seen some stuff, you're probably also positive about some of the changes that have happened. But specifically about riding bikes in New York and bike racing, but also just riding around. Do you think it's gotten better or worse? Different?
Oh, it has gotten definitely a lot better. Like we have more bike lanes.
Yeah.
There's more cyclists in New York City now than there
Overall.
were. Overall.
Mhm.
Be a racer or a commuter,
Mhm.
and especially after COVID. I mean, like during the lockdown,
Yeah.
and more people are commuting.
Yeah. You notice that riding around?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I can always tell. And I haven't been out that much myself because I didn't have to commute anymore and I didn't have to ride around that much anymore. But it feels like percentage-wise there's more cyclists versus cars, but maybe just the number of cars, so I'm not always sure. Has it gotten safer over the years, over the decades?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, like I know that the data is out. Like Vision Zero came out and it's like, pedestrians accidents are down, cyclists deaths are down.
Except they were
I
really
don't
high
know.
last year, right?
Yeah,
I think,
they were high last year, and that stupid Vision Zero. I mean, really. I mean, like, you're gonna tell like a car to, hey, slow down.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what gets me. Like people. I mean, if you want to address Vision Zero,
Yeah.
address the people that just pay attention while you cross the street.
Yeah.
Just pay attention. They're walking, crossing the street, looking at the stupid phone. I have not looked at my phone. It's not even on. They're walking while crossing the street, and it just address that. People get hit.
Yeah.
There are things called like accidents.
Right.
Just pay attention. 2 seconds from there to there. It takes
Yeah.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
People don't want to kill you, well, unless you're an ex-wife or an ex-husband or someone. But
That's also the worst case, but yeah.
People don't want to
Yeah.
hit you and kill you on
Mhm.
purpose. Just pay attention. There are things called accidents.
Yeah.
Avoid it.
Yeah.
Just lower your percentage of getting into an accident by paying attention. That's what the commercial on Vision Zero should be.
Yeah.
Just pay attention.
Yeah.
Slow down. Don't drive too fast.
Think about the consequences. Yeah.
And pay attention.
Yeah.
You don't have to be on your fucking phone on your phone all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even crossing the street. I will not curse anymore. Sorry.
Are you more afraid of the pedestrians almost than it
The
sounds
pedestrians,
like?
yeah, I broke my shoulder a couple of years ago.
Because you
Yeah,
ran
pedestrian,
with
yeah.
We ran to the street. Yeah.
Well, no, this was in the jogging,
Okay.
in a bike lane.
Yeah.
A person was jogging, listening to music, and just made
Yeah.
a U-turn like this.
We've all seen that
decided
happen and
decided to make a
close
U-turn now.
Yeah.
While I was on the bike lane, she was
yeah,
jogging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has gotten a little safe overall.
Yeah. Overall. Yeah.
Overall, yeah.
That's interesting that and I think a lot of us share that the bike lanes are often inviting for pedestrians because it's so crowded everywhere that a lot of joggers especially use the bike lane here and there, right? But you're not cars obviously a problem too, but you know how to handle that better, or is it less of a concern?
I think I have. I think as a New Yorker, you develop a sixth sense.
Yeah.
You do know. I mean, when you ride on a bike, you kind of know if the door is going to open.
Yeah.
You kind of know. I don't want to jinx it.
But you look ahead. Yeah.
You look ahead. You see somebody's on the passenger side, and you just develop that extra sixth sense.
It takes time though, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Or time bike riding.
For me, it's just natural. I never do. I would never ride my bike unsafe.
Yeah.
Do something crazy
Right.
on the street
Yeah.
because I had gotten into accidents.
Yeah.
Look at my face, people.
It looks pretty good.
Ah, no, I used to be cute. Yeah. This has nothing to do with accidents on the street.
Right.
This was during a stage race in the Dominican Republic.
Bike racing. Oh, you went to the Dominican Republic. Okay.
Yeah, I was right. Yeah, I was doing a stage race, and over there, there's that they don't close down the streets.
For the race.
Yeah, so I was bridging up to a break, and I had my head down, and then the brake just made a turn, but I had my head down, and then I looked up, and I went right through the windshield.
Ooh.
I was in a third world country hospital.
You've had better experiences, what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you're back here in one piece again.
Yeah.
You beat a lot of odds, it sounds like.
I told you, all this is gravy. I was in, I should have been dead. I mean, like, I'm not exaggerating.
Well, we're glad you're here, doing a lot of stuff, and all of these experiences have really kept you from riding the bike. It's a passion.
Oh no, yeah, it's in me. I mean, I don't have any kids or anything, but I think that I would pass it down, or I would. No, I don't think I would have kids. I'm not. No, it's not for me. No.
And that's perfectly fine. The bikes are the kids.
Yeah.
To some extent.
To some extent, I'm not a freak. But no,
but
it's in me. It's not a fad. It's a way of life for me.
So you enjoy the bike riding. You enjoy also still watching bike races or other stuff.
I do.
What's part of being a cyclist for you today?
For me,
you're not racing anymore, right? That's why I'm asking. So,
but I'm still racing. I would.
Okay, you would.
The thing is that right now, since there's no racing, I don't have to cover races. I kind of got into shape. I did. I got a little bit in racing shape, but there's no races.
Yeah.
So that was like,
we'll see what 2021 brings.
Yeah, and with cycling, it's I like watching races. I don't think I can call a race, but I can read a race, and I can see what's going to happen during a bike race. I can tell you who's a wheel sucker, and who's not going to win because they're fucking second wheel.
You enjoy the bike watching, the bike race watching.
I do.
For the time.
I love the Grand Tours. I love the classics.
Coming up. Yeah.
I love the classics.
Yeah,
and I love to go out and ride on my bike. But I think some of you know that, or might think that I hate time trials.
Yeah.
I don't hate time trials. I don't hate time trials. I hate them when they're at a Grand Tour and to decide the outcome of the Grand Tour.
Yeah.
Not the
last day.
The last day.
Yeah.
But when you have a time trial like today, this year, they're going to have a time trial the penultimate day.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Yeah.
That's what I hate. People who are...
We'll have to do another episode apparently on Grand Tour racing with Marco.
Yeah, I just fucking hate it when they stop racing. And especially at this race.
Because they think too much about
at this
trial
stage.
Yeah,
the rest, the way to catch up. Or some people are just satisfied with their GC location, where they are.
Yeah.
Oh, I never made it to the top 5. I'm going to stay here instead of racing.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to wait until the time trial because I can make more time there.
So don't do the time trial early and get out the way.
Don't do it at Grand Tours. Have them at Nationals.
Oh, you're a strict one. You grew up in the time where all the big time trials happened.
No. But have you
away.
seen this? Have you seen
I know.
Where it has gone down?
Yeah, it has gone down.
We only have
a lot.
one this year.
It's a crazy amount.
Yeah, only have one. It has gone down, but not at Grand Tours. Have them at club races. Oh, we don't have them at club races anymore.
No, they're not a thing in any. I don't.
Do you know why?
Any local series. It's probably too dangerous in the park, I would imagine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Should Google it.
Tell us right now.
There was a fatality.
There was a fatality. Yeah.
There was a fatality
in a time trial.
In a time trial.
So similar to when you kind of head down, hit a car, or flew in a car, or different.
A rider. I am not gonna say names. Hit a homeless person, and the person died away. Passed away.
So the homeless person was in the road that was in Central Park. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a touchy subject.
I don't know. You tell me, and I think, but it happened, and I think.
So we don't have them anymore. the club.
Yeah. So that's
Or in the park. I think we had there.
Since I've moved here, I certainly haven't seen any being advertised. Yeah. So, and that's certainly a very good reason to be more cautious.
Right. Yeah. No, but I don't have anything against time trials.
I think
we can move on. It's not.
I think that's a valid point, and I think they're both safer and dangerous, more dangerous in some ways, right? I think when you see 100 cyclists coming at you, you're probably paying more attention to that noise and versus one person who's easier to overlook, right? That might be going very fast nonetheless. So yeah, that's tricky. So no time trials in grand tours on their own. They can be fun.
Awesome.
Thumbs up.
Love that.
What do we need to do to make cycling community or road racing community, if you want to talk about both, maybe just bike riding in New York City, or the racing community specifically better? What do you think's needed? Yeah, and you told me before, I don't have the answers to all your questions, and like, you don't have to have the answers, but I want to hear what Marco thinks, if he thinks anything, or if he even cares about, if you care about these
I do. I want to get more diverse people into cycling, because look, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm not white. I don't know if you notice this. I'm not white. I'm not white.
I'm not the one obviously who's going to judge here, but I'm extremely pale and white. But and I think that's pretty easy to tell. But you self-identify. You feel Latino, Mexican, Hispanic. What do you call yourself? Or just not white?
I'm New Yorker.
Color? Yeah,
I'm a New Yorker, right. American of Mexican descent.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my Mexican heritage.
Uh-huh.
That being said, I'm an American. My passport says American.
Yeah.
I can't go out of this country. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which is a privilege. Yeah. But on that note, like, then making it more diverse, I'm assuming there's not too many, especially of your generation probably, that came from the Bronx and that are cyclists now or ride bikes or even road racing. What can we do? Or what can be done, if anything? Is it just the money question? I asked those questions, Lucia, too, and I'm glad you brought that up. Is it just a question of you need a Dave Jordan to idolize, kind of?
Yeah, it's an expensive sport, and we do want to get more people in. I know that CRC, I was a member of CRC for many years, a long time ago. When we had meet and greet, like to get more people in, we didn't. It's gonna sound a little snobby. I hope it doesn't. Or people don't get mad at me. It's like, oh, you're wrong. I probably am wrong, but we didn't have them at a place where you rafa. I'm gonna say it. Sorry. You want to get more people in, more diverse people in. Kids from inner city, like the Bronx, South Bronx, Brooklyn, don't have an event. And I know that it's great because they provide a free space, or don't have it at a place where you pick up an item, you're browsing, $420 for a jersey, $300 for a pair of bibs. You want to be inviting. When I was a CRC member, we had a restaurant, and we didn't have this. Why not have it at a restaurant where it's more inviting? You could have a beer. You can have some. You can have a beer over there too. But I could be wrong about this. Maybe it's just me. You want to invite more people from different class. I think you should. I come from a different class. I am poor. I work every single day as much as I can. I haven't been to a CRC party in years. In years. I don't know. That's just me. Make it more inviting for other classes, not diverse classes of people to come in.
Let's elaborate on that a little bit. I think, and that's part of the reason why I'm bringing you. You don't have ties, sponsorship-wise or allegiance-wise, or you're not on a team to anybody, and that's, I think, why you can speak your mind a little bit here, right? And I think I don't want to pick too much on Rafa. They do a lot of good stuff for the community, right?
They're awesome.
And we don't need to do
I worked
that.
for them.
I think we all know that, right? Exactly.
I did a few
and
jobs
they have
for them.
fantastic products. I personally don't own a single item partially because of.
I do. You want to
Well, I
buy
don't
one?
think
I've never wear that. I'm like.
They're very nice, right? But you're right. I think the location Soho alone is, I think maybe that attracts a lot of people too, though, and I think they do a lot and they provide a lot to the community. But it's a specific type of audience that they're trying to attract, or customers that they're trying to attract in the
Right.
NW too, right?
And is CRC going after that clientele, after those people, and do you want to invite them? Yeah, you want to get more cyclists, but you want to get more diverse. Have a meet and greet somewhere else, where it's more inviting. It's not that intimidating. I mean, I could go there, and I work for them. I have a problem. I have coffee there sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Not a problem.
Good
But that's
coffee.
me.
Yeah.
I would never buy a $300 pair of bibs.
Yeah, I have yet to do that as well,
No.
and I think it's a very good place, but we do kind of go there and maybe live in a little bit of a bubble when they show the World Championships there, and we can watch them, we can have a good time, but who's there, right? Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to tell you. I mean, and I'll tell you afterwards who you should interview, who is really good, I think, another inner city kid.
Yeah.
And it's really, now it's a kid.
Yeah.
But I've never seen him there.
Yeah.
At Rafa.
Yeah.
He's not a member of CRC.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about with Lucia, and CRC is a Manhattan club, right? And I think that attracts a certain audience to some extent. And they're not like, it's not written
Did you know?
in
I don't know if
the
you know.
rules of the bylaws.
CRC. I don't know if you know this.
Right.
CRC is the oldest club in the country.
I've seen different accounts on that, but let's call them one of the oldest. Yeah.
One of the oldest.
Yeah. I heard the one in St. Louis. Either way, but let's not argue history
The
here.
Taylor? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but they're very old. Yeah. So they're very old. They're one of the biggest. They're one of the oldest.
Over
right?
100 years old.
And I should say we because I'm a club member, whatever. But yes. So yes. So what would you do? Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
We had more diverse people.
Back when you started?
When I started. Class of people.
Okay.
Not just rich people and people that didn't want to wear wool. We had different kind of people, class, if you will.
Is it more diverse? Is that because you knew the people maybe? I don't have any data either way, right? And I certainly would agree that being a Manhattan club and being a road racing club, CRCA is not a club that features a lot of people that don't have a lot of money, right? So obviously a lot of the members have a good amount of money. And they don't need to be ashamed of that, right?
Not just
right?
Be,
and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is a question of whether or not in the club and how it could be diversifying more. And ultimately, because I think we need to think about the future of the sport too.
And I think Lucia is great for the club.
Right.
She's the president. She's a woman.
Right.
She's a minority.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's great.
Right.
She should be doing more.
So you think go outside of Manhattan, go to different venues?
Not necessarily. Just don't have the meet and greet or an event at a place where, I don't know, Soho.
You might not be comfortable going in even. Yeah.
Right.
Depending on where you come from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you could. I agree. I think you can see that either way, right? You can see that as the glamorous world that's super attractive, but it's also maybe off-putting. And when you go into a place where, I don't know, like even a little thing costs $50 or something like that. I don't know what. Then
right. I mean, and it's not, again, not a put down. The people have the money and can afford that. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I know a lot of people that, that do that. And that's just not for me. I don't own that.
So, should we have it at Dunkin' Donuts or?
No. At a restaurant, a regular restaurant.
Yeah.
At a bar.
Yeah.
We used to have it at a bar. We used to have roller races at bars.
Yeah.
We used to have CRC, and man, people hooked up.
I'm sure Lucia would obviously be much better at telling you now the reasons for why it's where and all that.
I'm sure.
But I think your point's well taken, right? And I think we can generally speaking say that we need to. There's efforts that can be made.
If you really want to.
Right, if you really want to.
Yeah. At least make an effort.
And it's hard. And that's for road racing in general. Do you feel like there's still lots of opportunities for a kid in the Bronx or in Brooklyn or in Queens or Staten Island to get into bike riding in general?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of programs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of programs that, like a Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's a great program. It's a great program. Yeah. Just to get kids started in cycling. A friend of mine out west is doing not similar, but he's taking out young kids, inner city kids in San Francisco.
Oh wow, okay.
And taking them out to bike rides, like once a week.
Yeah.
He provides the bikes.
Just riding bikes, not about racing, just ride a bike, right? And I think that's important too, because I don't know, you started kind of late, but I've had more than anywhere else probably. I've encountered adults who don't know how to ride a bicycle here in New York City, and probably because it's too dangerous. Maybe some could never afford a bike, but that was interesting to me that there was a fairly high percentage, and maybe that's just my impression, of people who didn't feel comfortable, didn't know even how to ride a bike at an adult age. Is that you've never encountered that too much?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
No.
So maybe that's just my impression. I've had a few encounters where people not even comfortable riding one, I think, in general. So that then maybe that's not as much of a problem, and that's a good thing. And I think now with everybody being on bikes because of the epidemic,
right? Yeah, no, it's there's a lot of people on bikes.
That may not, at least currently, not the problem. I think the bike shops are all out bikes and all that.
Yeah,
so, which is a good
I
thing.
couldn't believe it, man. I went to a bike shop the other day, and it was like literally like no bikes on the rack.
Yeah.
Like we have no bikes to
Yeah.
sell. We have no bikes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
So in the community, you said it was very diverse when you started, and maybe it's less diverse now, or CRCA specifically as the club, because there's other clubs obviously outside, and I think we always come back to CRCA, but obviously there's lots of other bike teams and organizations outside, and maybe they're more diverse in CRCA. Do you feel like do you distinctly feel like you're a member of a minority when you ride the bike around here, or do you feel like, I don't know how much you speak Spanish, but the chatter of Spanish is always around too?
Yeah. It's a good part.
Okay. Yeah. So
it's lavorato in Milano for 2 anni.
I understand that, but that's probably the extent of my Italian.
No,
2 years in Milan. Yeah.
I consider I am a minority in New York City.
Yeah.
I'm always aware.
Yeah.
Quick story.
Yeah.
When I'll know forever that I'm a minority, because when I was a kid, I got hit on the head by a cop who at that time was like 7 feet tall. Who I was just in front of my building, telling me to move, go back home. And I said, I live here. That was the last thing I said. Boom, hit me just for saying, like, I live here. Where do you want me to go?
Yeah, we were talking back to him. Yeah.
So it was a big, tall white man.
Yeah.
At that time, I knew from that I'm a minority. I know I'm a minority in New York City. Whether I'm riding my bike, whether I used to drive a Land Rover. So I always know. When I'm on a bike, I know that I'm a minority.
Yeah.
Now I'm a minority because I'm on a bike, or people have a car, or I'm a minority because of my skin
so
color.
you think being on a bike does feel more like a minority behavior? No. Is that what you're saying? Or do you feel
I've been told by...
It's almost like if you're white, you're in a car, it's more likely, is what you're saying, or no?
No.
Explain that a little bit more to me then. So
I know that I'm a minority on a bike.
Yeah.
Off or on the bike. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't
change.
It doesn't change.
Right.
Now, if I'm on the bike and I'm looking like this, I've been told, and I'm sure you have been told to get the fuck off the street.
Yeah, everybody.
Get the right, exactly.
Yeah. As a bike, because we're bike riders.
That's not because
we're
of my
riding
skin
a bike.
color.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a bike.
Right.
That's not.
Most likely not, at least. Right.
Yeah. But in my head, I know that I'm a minority.
Yeah. Does it feel like within the bike community though, you're within the bike racing, the road riding community? I think I talked to Lucia about that last week. It's in some ways New York City, and its bicycle community is one of the most diverse in the country probably, but it's still maybe not as diverse as the population is, at least the road racing community. Do you feel that way, or do you feel...
No, actually, and I've been to other communities around the country.
Right.
Colorado,
San Francisco, and
San Francisco, and California. New York City is the most diverse community.
That's the impression I get, but I don't know all of them.
It is. Well, I'm telling you, it is, because I personally seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I've raced across the country.
Wow.
I've raced in Montana. Fuck. Yeah, I did.
There's bike racing up there, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do, but I've obviously never been there.
There's is more diverse than anybody I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel more comfortable, or does it not matter? For you personally, right?
To
Because
me, it doesn't
everybody's
matter.
different. Yeah.
I feel comfortable anywhere I am.
Yeah. You're a bike racer. That's not what matters.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like the people that the circles that I travel, meaning the people that I can talk to, they're more open.
Yeah.
They're not. I'm sure there's some racist, but no, I don't feel. I feel comfortable everywhere I go.
Yeah. Being a cyclist is the ticket kind of to being part of the community, or being a bike rider, and then you're in.
Right. Yeah. And I always feel comfortable talking because I can talk about any subject. I feel comfortable and I can discuss any subject with anybody. I can talk, but I'm not. You're not going to change the person's mind.
No.
But I can talk. I can feel
not necessarily.
talking.
You can try and maybe you succeed, but yeah. Interesting. We could talk about that for longer still, but I want to be mindful of time and your time too.
Good.
We've talked about the street, kind of what you see. It's gotten better to some extent, maybe safer. We've talked about diversity a little bit. Is there anything that you feel very passionate about in terms of bike riding that's specific to New York City that we haven't talked about yet? An issue, a topic, a challenge, the future of, I don't know, road racing or just bike riding.
Oh, man.
We can talk about the future.
I'll tell you what the future is. No, I don't know. I don't know what the future is. I like racing in the city. I like supporting my community.
Yeah.
I don't know what the future is. I hope that the young kids, the millennials, take it.
I think we're past that already. But yes, Gen Z is, I think, the new thing. But yes, anyway, continue.
But the people who are in charge of the club now
fair enough,
are the millennials.
By large, yeah.
I hope they're doing a good job. Would I ever be a member of CRCA?
Again? Yeah? You were before, right? So.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of shit. I mean, a lot of stuff that not this, I'm going to call it administration.
Yeah.
The board members, but the one or two board members ago, they just are so fucking obnoxious, annoying, and they don't give. Now, when we were racing, when Lou Maltese was around, Dave Jordan was around.
These are again Lou Maltese, a big name in the history of New York's road racing, right? Yeah.
It was more laid back, and I know that there's rules.
Yes.
Just like there's laws in society, but sometimes you do. I'm not saying bend them, break them, but just sometimes you see that. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying, but it was just dealing with those people.
Yeah.
It was just not.
Are you becoming old and grouchy, or is it the young people coming in?
No. I want to. Yeah. That's my club.
I'm already becoming old and grouchy, so that's why
it's my club.
Yeah.
I love this stupid sport. I love this club. I love this community.
I think we can feel that when we talk about it. Yeah.
And for me, it's not a fad. It's a way of life. I will always be, until the day I die, I will be riding my bicycle.
Yeah.
And hopefully someday, I don't know when, I'll be a member of CRC again. And because I love to race. Yeah. I'm going to race again. Okay. Like I said, I got into shape, but no one's racing.
Yeah. Well, you can race outside of CRC, obviously, too, here, right? So in Prospect Park, at Floyd Bennett Field, and other
but I was going to do the national championships. I was going to win the nationals.
Yeah. There's always an age group competition somewhere. Yeah. I think we can feel the passion. Again, I really appreciate your honesty, and I'm sure you've upset somebody in some way by something.
I hope not. I didn't say anything of.
But I think that's why I appreciate having you here, because you speak your mind, and I think a lot of people do, but maybe not on camera or in front of another
and that's
person.
The thing.
But I think it's important to show that there are a lot of different opinions, and sometimes it gets streamlined a little bit too much, I think it's complicated having so many different people in one club or organization, or in the community too, right? That there's going to be some rubbing, and some disagreements. I think that's normal.
Well, yeah, think of it like a society and having a government. You know,
Yeah.
people, Republicans and Democrats were going to argue, but they're always, you know, the country will always was moving forward,
Yeah.
and
Past tense.
that's what we used to do in CRCA. Now, what's the growth of
Yeah.
membership in
Yeah.
CRCA?
I don't know the exact numbers. I'm sure it's fairly
back then,
stagnant, if not.
did you know
smaller.
back then we used to race under one color?
Yeah.
One color.
I mean, I've read about it, and that's why we talked a little bit
CRCA.
with Lucia last week about the sub team structure, which is very unique and has advantages and disadvantages, right?
It has
So-
mostly disadvantages.
You think disadvantages?
I think so.
Okay.
Back, everybody talked to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after a race, you see someone, you know, I can talk to anybody in any
Yeah.
club, any team,
Yeah.
sub-team.
Yeah.
But now, like, you just go to your
Little groups.
clique.
Yeah.
It's not by you know anybody's fault. It's just
It's the nature of the structure.
it's right.
Right. It,
But-
it creates these tight groups, but they're smaller and more isolated pockets, right? So
Right.
like, I'm on the team Veselka, so maybe I don't talk to the people from this other team that much, or even hardly ever see them because they are organizing their own rights and things.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, not that we don't like each other necessarily.
Absolutely
right.
no. It's not by anybody's fault, and now they're doing it. It's like, oh, I don't want to. It just have developed into this sub clique
Yeah.
that you
Totally.
have to belong. And now anybody that is it true that you have to belong to a sub club now?
No, I think you can still be an independent member, as far as I know, unless they change that. Yeah. So
Really?
I think you can still race just with a regular CRCA jersey, but obviously again,
Yellow and gold.
the yellow and gold, yeah, the yellow, the gold, the yellow thing. Yeah,
I think I still
that's
have my
what some
wool
people. You could
jersey.
bring that back. I'd probably still be allowed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I think there is that feeling of belonging that CRCA sometimes almost appears more of like an administration that you're kind of part of, but you are mostly part of your sub-team, right? Talking about.
Right. Yeah. And you go on rides. 9W with you know
Where a
your
lot of
team.
people ride, yeah. Where most people ride, yeah, with the team.
with
most likely,
your
yeah.
team and right, you need to train, you need to practice your tactics. But back then we used to just ride around and you pick somebody up and say, oh, we're gonna meet over there. Call him.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have his beeper number. I don't have his
Now
beeper.
you're definitely getting old and grouchy here.
No,
Yeah,
I don't have his beeper number.
think-
You call him
Yeah.
because let's go meet him. Tell him to meet us at the bridge.
Yeah.
Now you
And
have
you-
sub
Right.
conversations like
Yeah, and do you think that in some ways it can hurt the club being accessible that way, or do you think that maybe because the individual teams are all doing their own recruiting that's maybe more successful?
probably. I mean, but like I said, I don't know if you still need to be in a sub team to be a club member. I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
Okay.
That's my understanding. I haven't tried it, but that's certainly my understanding. So you could do your own thing if you want to be independent. Yeah. So that might be in the future for you too.
See, no.
Yeah.
The last couple of times that I was racing, I raced independent.
Okay. Yeah.
I wasn't on a team. Last time I was Toga, I think. Yeah. It was better for me.
Yeah.
Because if I saw someone going up on the road with 3 different teams, I could just jump and bridge.
Yeah.
And then I had like 3 or 4 teams working for me.
Yeah. So for the racing it was actually enjoyable. Yeah.
I actually won Floyd Bennett. The overall.
Yeah. You were good, like we said. This is coming full circle. Okay, we're gonna wrap up the conversation. It's been a pleasure, Marco. I think you have, like I said, there's probably so many anecdotes that we could have talked about because you have a wealth of experience, and maybe we'll feature some of those another time. I kind of want to almost ask you to talk maybe one highlight from your, or maybe career is a strong word, but maybe career, whatever you want to use, your time as a bike rider or bike racer, like maybe one anecdote, one highlight, and then also also what's your advice, and you can start with either one. What's your advice for people who are new, who want to get into bike riding, or want to get into bike racing, one or the other, or both?
Gentlemen, I'm coming to say goodbye.
Thank you, Tom.
Tom,
be
thank
safe.
you.
See you later.
Yes.
See you later.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's a sweet ride.
Right? Look at the colors.
Nice.
Nice saddle.
That's just your shirt.
So
Yeah.
let me rephrase. New riders, whether bike riders or racers, you can focus on one or both. What would you kind of tell them? What should you do? What should you think about? Then maybe also one, and you can start with that if you want to highlight one really good experience, or maybe negative experience from your bike riding or racing career that you kind of want to end with.
Highlight. Well, I don't know if it's a highlight or
Or a good
anything,
story.
Well, my first senior race in the club was in a wrestling.
Senior means not. No, you weren't
I wasn't
under
a junior.
18. You were under junior.
Yeah,
right?
I wasn't a junior anymore.
Yeah. So you're racing with the old guys.
Yeah, I was racing with the old man. The old man was Dave Jordan back then.
How old was Dave
racing-
Jordan when you were racing then? Was he like 40, 50?
No,
not even that old. Okay.
No, he was 25.
Okay.
Not much older.
Not much older than you. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
My first race that I did, I was from the juniors going to the senior.
Mm-hmm. This is in Central Park.
It's Central Park,
Yeah.
a club race, raining, cold, spring.
Probably March or something.
The usual suspects had gone up the road.
Uh-huh.
Ed Leonard, Mark Rowland, Cook, and Dave had missed the break.
Mm-hmm.
Dave had missed the break, and he wanted to go up there, but he was everybody was on his wheel because
Right.
they
Everybody
knew
knew,
they knew that he was going to be up the road at some point. So everybody was on his wheel. So I'm on his wheel, third from the wheel, and a lap and a half into chasing on his own for the entire lap.
Yeah.
I come next to Dave.
So he was riding and the whole field was sitting on
right,
his
sitting on his wheel, trying to bridge, trying to bring back the break. I come up next to him. Now this is my first race in the senior. I come up next to him, and I turn. He's like, drilling it, and I go, "Hey Dave, do you want me to? Yeah, I don't know. How you doing? Do you want me to take a pool or anything?" He goes, "I don't know what the fuck. I'm not your father." I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's just what I did.
Do you take a pull?
No, because I'm afraid he's gonna bite me or something. I love Dave. I love Dave. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of Dave stories.
Yeah. That's the first one I've heard, to be honest. So there'll probably more. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. How do we get more people in? Have more rides. Have like instead of having a click. I don't know if it's possible or not, but have more rides, not races, to get more people into cycling. And for young kids who want to get into, you're not going to get into racing a bicycle unless you love it.
And that kind of,
Unless
I was just
you're
going to ask about
into
that.
it.
Lucia mentioned that to you. Not everybody has to be a racer, right?
Right.
And at the same time, like that response you get from Dave, that can be very off-putting, right? You're an 18-year-old kid. This is your, I want to say idol's maybe strong, but this is your hero, and you pull up and you want to help, and he's like, "Get out of here!" Like he didn't say that. But,
He didn't say that.
But you had the mindset that this kind of didn't bother you.
Right, no, it didn't. Absolutely not.
Right,
It didn't.
right.
Yeah.
And that takes a certain personality too, and we could argue you have to be more welcoming. But in that moment when he's been pulling the field for a lap and a half, he probably didn't have a lot
In
of
the
happy
cold,
face left. Yeah,
in the
right,
cold,
right.
the chasing, trying to make the break.
It can be an uninviting environment. I think that we need to acknowledge that too, right? That it's not just all sunshine and happy faces all the time, right? And that,
Right,
and I
the
think
bicycle racing. But
Bicycle
I love
racing,
But I
exactly.
love riding my bike. I love pushing the pedal forward and just propelling myself forward.
Yeah.
It's a sense of freedom that you get from riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
Just riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of stress out.
Yeah.
Just riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
Like I would recommend, if people wanted me to recommend a sport, take up cycling.
Yeah.
tennis is very expensive.
Yeah.
Running, you can take up running, yeah.
Yeah.
But the community in running is not the same as there is in cycling.
Okay.
I love my community.
Mhm.
I mean, some people are not. I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
You don't have to be, right? I think.
Right.
Yeah. You're not, especially since you're not
My
in a role.
personality.
Yeah.
I because I say what's in my mind.
Mhm.
I say what's in my head. I should think about more often what I'm gonna say or what I'm gonna type,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't.